Many unbearable hours later.
Like I said, I definitely fall into the stereotype of a undesirable Black woman. However, none of that stops me from dating and choosing very consciously to not and never again date Black men. And I have a little list here, which only took me about 3 seconds to put together, of why I don't date Black men. Now, the first reason is because they're extremely, extremely, extremely
insecure.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
or Black woman, and I'm extremely independent. I've been living alone since I was 22 years old. I'm college educated. I have a career in corporate America. I have a very healthy income. I'm able to provide everything that I want for myself. I have no debt and I live in a very high cost of living area. And I do this all by myself with ease. I take care of myself. These, by virtue, would peg me as the stereotypical Black woman, except for the fact that I'm not obese, because that is what these crazy Black men try to say is Black women are undesirable, they're obese, they don't take care of themselves, they have nasty attitudes, which I have a badass attitude as well. So, like,
Okay, at least she agrees she has a bad attitude. So she listed all these things she's doing by herself, things she has achieved, the money, you know, nice place, degree, all these things that sometimes the ladies like to tell men they bring to the table. But honestly, unless a man is broke or he doesn't want to pay your bill or anything like that, most guys don't care about all those accolades that women have. If she mentioned that she's kind, she's fun to be around, good conversation, most guys will be open to the idea. But she agreed. In her own words, she agreed that she has bad attitude. So any man would take a woman who doesn't have a degree, who doesn't make good money, doesn't have her own place, with a good attitude over a woman who has all these accolades with bad attitude. That's just the facts.
like I said, I definitely fall into the stereotype of a undesirable Black woman. However, none of that stops me from dating and choosing very consciously to not and never again date Black men. And I have a little list here, which only took me about 3 seconds to put together, of why I don't date Black men. Now, the first reason is because they're extremely, extremely, extremely
Insecure.
How?
If you've seen my last video, then you know how I talked about Black people, melanated people victimizing themselves to white people is not a flex. It's not something that is respectable. It's not something that's dignified. It's not really something that's going to help you propel and move forward in your life. I've never dated a Black man that didn't talk about his
Experience as a Black man.
and talk about how
The man is always trying to keep him down.
and it's so sickening. It's disgusting.
Okay, so sounds like you have trouble, I don't know, picking or finding men who are not victims. Because I find it very hard to believe that all the Black men you've dated are always complaining and playing victims. I really find it hard to believe. Is it possible? Yeah, but the chances are very small. Now, if you've dated two Black men who have called themselves victims in every situation, I can see that. But if you're saying all the men you have dated are play victim, I don't believe that.
And it's my experience dating every single Black man that I've dated. They've always talked about how their experience as a Black man in America is one that is filled with hatred and racism, I guess. Although secretly, I believe every single Black man would find themselves at a higher status if they actually had dated or possessed, was in a relationship with a woman of non-color. But that's really neither here nor there. I really, really hope that Black men find their preferences away from Black women so that they can continue to level up and do them and go about their merry way and be great. Another
Okay, so I can agree with that. She's saying she doesn't want to date Black men anymore. but she's not the type saying black men should not date other races. She's saying, hey, I don't want to date black men anymore, which means she's going to date other races, but she's also saying black men are free to date whoever they want. That's fair.
Topic in the being insecure, I noticed that Black men are really crabs in a bucket. Black men just can't stand to see someone doing better than them. They're very jealous and insecure as well. I don't know what this stems from. Regardless, though, instead of uplifting people, they want to bring them down and knock them down a peg to where they feel that they can be on top of whoever it is that they're dealing with. And I've noticed this amongst Black men that I don't even date. Black men who are supposed to be my mentors. Black men who are supposed to be leaders. As soon as it comes down to them being challenged in any way, when it comes down to them being questioned in any way, they need to throw their authority and force it onto me, in my experience, or whoever it is that is a Black woman. They just want to keep a Black woman down and keep a Black woman in her place. Now,
if you guys remember at the beginning of the video, she did say she has bad attitude. Those are her words. She says she has bad attitude. So sounds to me like when she's in a relationship or dating black men, she likes to challenge them on everything. You know what I mean? It's like, babe, let's take a right here. And she's like, no, you take a right, you take a left. It's like, babe, let's go here. And then she's going to be quick to say, no, let's go here. Very few men are going to be okay being in such a type of relationship. Men don't want to be challenged on everything they want to say. You know, I'm not saying that if a man is leading you the wrong way, just go along with it. But it's not even just specific to a relationship. But if everything, even bosses don't like guys, employees who are always questioning their leadership and their ideas. It's okay to give your perspective, but if everything someone tells you, your man is telling you, let's eat this, let's eat this, let's do this, and you're always fighting back, very few men want that. Men want the peace. So she says she has bad attitude. So I'm not surprised that she claims that black men don't like to be challenged. You know, no man wants, if men are already out here grinding and hustling with life, they don't want to come home and then have to go back and forth with you, fight over small things.
The next reason why I don't date black men is because they're just too feminine. I'm going to be honest with you. Extremely feminine, lazy. Black men are just lazy as a hell. They're hella unhealthy. They die very young because they don't take care of their health. I get up and I go to the gym at 5 o'clock, 5:30 most mornings. On weekends, I'm at the gym when it opens, 8 o'clock. I don't ever see black men in the gym. Now, granted, I live in San Diego, so there may not be that many black men in general, but there are still some percentage. I shouldn't be the only black person in the gym or the only one of two black people in the gym. I see so many black men walking around looking like they have one foot in the grave and one hand in the chicken bucket. And it's really unattractive.
Okay, this kind of sounds like hate rather than criticism. And the reason I'm going to say that is because 70 to 80% of people in the US are overweight or are not in shape. You know, so to single out black men that they are not in shape, they're never in the gym. How about you pick the men who are in shape? How about you pick the black men who are actually in shape, who work out? So for the few black men that you saw in the gym working out with you, maybe you should pick those ones. You shouldn't be worried and concerned about the men that are not in shape. You know, how about you stick to the men who are in shape? I mean, it's not different from if I'm a guy and I'm complaining that, you know, I don't like to date most black women are single mothers. Guess what? Maybe you should avoid the single mothers and go with women who don't have kids. It's the same thing. But if you keep attacking, because she makes it seem like every black man she has been with is out of shape, doesn't go to the gym, is broke, is a victim, which I honestly don't believe it's true. Because she's not like 21 that she just started dating. So I find it hard to believe that all the black men she has come across are exactly the same thing she has listed. But remember from the beginning, she says she has bad attitude. So for me, this is the case of she has met the good black men that she's probably not going to talk about, but they just didn't want to deal with that bad attitude.
Attractive. I don't need to be canoodling. I don't need to be cooperating. I don't need to be associated with any man that can't take care of his health. And again, from all the black men that I dated, whether they were skinny, whether they were bigger, they just did not take care of themselves. And it's unattractive. I can't date them. Too feminine, in addition to being lazy. A black man's masculinity is not inherent. They're not masculine because they embody the qualities of masculinity, like being strong, like being organized, planners, like being disciplined. No. Black men are masculine relative to women. For example, Black men's favorite line to say about Black women is that
They're too independent.
too independent relative to who, babe? To you, babe? To the Black men that say that Black women.
No, black men say black women are too independent because that's what so many black women throw in black men's faces. And this is what you did at the beginning of your video. You talked about all this having a nice house, having a good car, having a good job, having a degree. That's you throwing your independence in a man's face. So I'm guessing when you go to these dates with these black men, and the first thing you talk about is how you are accomplished, how you have all this money, how you travel, how you have your own car, how you have 1,000 degrees. Most men don't find that impressive at all, because at the end of the day, when the date is finished, even if you say you make all this money, you're going to want him to pay for the first date. So you mentioning and laying out all these things that you have accomplished don't mean nothing if at the end of the day you still want him to pay the bills, you still want him to pay for the date. So black men are not intimidated by independent women. It's because you throw the whole independent woman in the man's face. You talk about how independent you are, how you don't need a man. That's why they find it an issue. It's not because you're independent. You're simply being an adult paying for your own bills. Honestly, you're just being an adult. But when you say, and remember, you have to figure out when she says she's independent of who? Of men, the same men she needs you to make money to pay her bills. So how can you say you're independent, you don't need a man, but at the same time you're looking for a provider? Those things can't they can't go hand in hand. You know what I mean?
Women are too independent. They don't live alone. They don't own anything. They're in hella debt. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Yet they turn around and they look at a black woman who has all of these things going for herself, and they want to take her down, again, a peg to their level because they're insecure. But really going back to this masculinity versus femininity thing, which I think is kind of hogwash anyways, black men are very well known for expecting women to submit to them and listen to them, and you can't argue with them. You are to be seen and not heard. And it's just really not the way that the world works. They expect that when you say something that you need to believe it because they said it and because they're a man. Negating or brushing under the rug all of the other factors that they don't have going for them, that makes it so that it's very hard to trust even what they're saying or to listen to their advice. Because why would you take advice from someone who you don't want to switch places with? I wouldn't do that. And that's why I'm the typical undesirable black woman.
Okay, so you cannot say that men expect you to be submissive, but at the same time, I'm guessing you expect the man to be a provider and a protector, a leader, because you are complaining they're not masculine, you're complaining they're insecure, you're complaining they're victims, which means you expect them to not be victims, you expect them to be not insecure and to want you for your bad attitude. So that means you have expectations for those men that you have dated or want to date, right? So in the same breath, guess what? Men have expectations as well, because remember, a relationship is really transactional at the end of the day. You give something and you get something. There are things you expect from a man. There are things a man expects from you as a woman. So there is nothing wrong with having expectations. So if a man expects you to submit, I'm guessing you expect him to provide and protect. I don't see anything wrong with that. So for me, this sounds like, I don't know. You've said you've met so many black men, but to me, sounds like you need help with choosing or meeting good black men. Because I'm sure you have met them. Either you're friends on them, or you don't see them, or they're too corny for you, or they're too nerdy, whatever the issue is. Every one of us has met someone good. Now, whether we saw the person was good enough or not is one thing, but to say that you've never met a good, secure, non-victim, masculine black man who's in shape is a lie. It's a lie. And it's okay if you want to date other races, but you can do that without, attacking black men and complaining about, how they're not good enough. All right, couple more minutes. Let's see what she says.
In the eyes of a black man, of course. Moving on to the third reason why I do not date black men anymore. I'm never going to date black men anymore, because I mean, after 10 or so, I'm pretty much going to take the L. When I'm seeing these same qualities in all of them, and I'm seeing these same qualities in my elders, and I'm seeing these same qualities in people who are supposed to be mentoring me, people who are my peers, it's a loss. Like I'm not interested, right? So unmotivated. They're just extremely, extremely, extremely unmotivated. And it kind of goes back to that crab in a bucket thing. If you try to motivate them, they're not accountable. They don't hold themselves accountable to their health, to their wealth, to their well-being, but they also don't let you hold them accountable.
Well, it depends. You already said you have bad attitude. So the question we have to ask is, how do you motivate them? How do you talk to them when you're trying to motivate them? Do you raise your voice? Try to snatch souls, like, the way you're talking and do all the hand gestures like that? No man is going to be okay with that. Do you look down on them because you make all this money? Because remember, in the beginning of the video, the first thing that you threw at us is how much money you make, how great you are, how the cars, the place that you get, the good job, the educated. And then you say you have bad attitude. So that makes me think that even when you are talking to these black men, your conversation and trying to motivate them is not in good faith. You're looking down on them, rather than actually having a good conversation to motivate someone. It's one thing to try to motivate someone and tell them, hey, I really wish you the best. I want you to do this and that, rather than talking to them in a condescending way.